Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Come on in, sit a while. We're going to talk about small business. The Fox Robbins Business Show, we've been around since 2008. Was that sometime last century?
Was this one or that
Yeah, that one. And this show is all about developing your very best business ideas. And we want to help and encourage small business, whether you're simply thinking about starting a business, or you're in the act of starting one, or you have one up and running, and it's running well, or it's running fair, or running not so good, or you want to make changes. Whatever your status is, we want to talk to you and generate good thinking and good ideas about running small business and making it successful. And I'm the co-host, Bill Fox, but the other co-host, and get this, you won't believe this, but this guy is intriguing.
Ooh.
He's arousing.
Oh, thank you.
And he's intoxicating. Coach Robbins.
I really don't drink that much.
Coach, we're going to talk about one of your favorite things.
It really is.
Yeah. One of mine too, as a matter of fact, and it's naming your business. And the fact is, this thinking about your business pertains. It doesn't matter whether you're just starting a business out, if you've already started the business, or if the business has been up and running for a while. If it's up and running for quite a while, it doesn't matter. You can, if you think that you could apply a better naming to your company, do it. I mean, think about it or do it. Well, we're going to go through some of these ideas in naming a business, and try to generate some thinking on your part about what's best in your particular case. And Coach, starting out, how about avoiding hard to spell names?
Yeah, and cutesy names. And I remember seeing one business, Fresh, Fresch something, and you could never spell the damn thing. Take your time in naming your business. It's not something that should be glossed over. I have a personal distaste when I name my company the Associated Amalgamated Limited.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't mean a damn thing to anybody, and trust me, I've worked with companies that had names like that, and they didn't understand why they couldn't create a good, strong brand identity for whatever little bit of science they were doing.
Right.
It's because your name stinks. It isn't clear what you do. It isn't clear who you are. And we're going to get to things like Google and Yahoo and talk about how, those things weren't names that are in our mind, but they spent a lot of money to brand those things, and now they are a strong brand. But another pet peeve I have is somebody that names their company B&C Company.
Yeah.
Because Bill and Cliff are going into the house painting business or something. Well, we're going to be B&C Corporation. Yeah. Really? Yeah. That doesn't tell anybody anything about it, And by virtue of the fact that we deal mostly with small businesses, well, they don't have a $10 million marketing budget to take a great word like Verizon, which is, I forget what they call it when you put two half words together, veritable and Verizon, Horizon or whatever, and spend $10 million to brand it. Now it is a brand, and Google, coming from one with a whole bunch of zeros after it, a Google, very clever. It
must have been just a fun name at the time. But,
it's fun and it's great, and they had the scale, the marketing budget to create a brand identity for it. But when you're a little business, you call yourself B and C, what the heck is that? I mean, even IBM isn't really just IBM. We shortened it from International Business Machine, so.
I get a example of that. But here, don't confuse your customers. Avoid misspelling.
Yeah.
Avoid misspellings.
And cutesy.
Or that you spell your company name correct, but the customers don't.
And then they can't find you.
And for God's sakes, keep it simple, stupid.
Absolutely. Keep it simple, because keep it clear, because what you're trying to do is create a brand identity with that name. And again, brand identity is the entire experience you're going to have with that company, but that name is the first thing that pops up into your mind.
Well, I think today, particularly, I talked to you about this today because in general, our economy is very fast moving.
Yeah.
It is fast paced. I mean, I think that the public at large, they want to learn something, they want to learn it quick.
Sound like.
Not spend time on it.
Yeah.
And there is so much names coming at people
Clutter.
from magazines, from the radio, from TV, from the God knows, from the
Right.
Smartphones and elsewhere are flooding at them. So your business, don't confuse your customers. Avoid misspelling. Maybe you don't misspell it, but the customers misspell your company. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
We've got companies on the here locally on advertise, and they have to spell their name, to keep it straight. If you have to spell your name, I think that's a little beyond. But and this is a favorite of mine. I want you to talk to us about this. Is picking a name that don't pick a name. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That limits future growth.
Yeah. I mean, like the article that this gentleman wrote said, what if Jeff Bezos picked the name Online Books Company?
Yeah.
Well, he'd still be losing money because he never made any money selling just books, but he knew he was building an infrastructure that could sell pretty much anything online. And he's done very, very well with it. Another thing you want to make sure of in picking your name, not just as a business grows, because again, you're trying to create a brand identity in somebody's mind, is don't pick a name that can be confusing when you even hear it, let alone spell it.
Right.
Because you may not be aware of it, but Mr. Bezos actually called his attorney on his drive to Washington to start his business.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to call the company Cadabra, like abracadabra.
Yeah.
And the attorney said to him, would you say cadaver? So he said, well, maybe I better call it something different.
Yeah.
Let's call it Amazon, because A to Z is in there and we're going to sell everything A to Z. So he knew what he was going to grow into.
Yeah. Well, and this, I know it's hard to think down the road. Who knows what's going to come? But you need to leave, not drive fence posts into the ground, but leave it open so that in the future, you think about this. I got an example on here, Domino Pizza.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know, was it last year or the year before? They paid big bucks for a bunch of commercials with a guy up on the roof of the Domino shop with an acetylene torch, cutting the sign that smashes down onto the ground.
Yeah.
That says Domino Pizza, and then putting a sign back up that simply says Domino's.
Domino's.
I don't want to pick on those guys, but
Well, no, you're not picking on them.
but it was what they said was they did pizza. So if I want a sandwich, if I want a steak, if I want I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
But I'm not thinking pizza and drive on by.
Right.
The same I could want to pick on people like the Midas muffler.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a muffler problem.
Right.
I got a transmission problem.
Right.
I got a
I'm not gonna
radiator
mind.
problem. I got a
Right.
exhaust problem. I don't know what I've got, but I don't have a muffler problem. So I drive on by.
Right. Now it's called Midas.
Now it's just
It's not called McDonald's Hamburger Company.
right.
It's I agree.
So
You gotta pick a name.
limitations to location, to product or service,
Yep.
or someone's name.
Yep.
We're going to get to that too.
Yep, right.
So don't pick a name that might be found out to limit your future
I
growth
agree.
and capturing
Yep.
customers.
Yep.
Coach, what about one thing you could do is conduct internet search.
Well, you have to. You have to go on the internet and see what other companies are using the name. Probably going to find somebody in Idaho using the name, probably in a different business. There's more than one Sun company, in different industries, different businesses. but you need to conduct a thorough internet search because obviously the world is operating on digital equipment now, mobile, your laptop. You're going to have to, as the next thing says, get a name that is clear and that you can secure, and preferably, as the article says, a .com name. Now most people are against a .net name because obviously some companies like the .net, but the vast majority of people would prefer a .com to know it's that it's a for-profit company. .org really refers to nonprofit companies. Educational systems like UMass is umass.edu, education, but if you're going to be in business, you want the .com name.
But your this research, internet research, the magic, Coach, the magic and the power of the internet that we didn't have, 20, 30, 40 years ago, whatever.
We didn't have it 15 years ago, really.
Or maybe what you did 30 years ago, you had to go to the public library and talk to the librarian about, research books and start looking up company names.
And at worst, getting into databases they spent a fortune for because they had access to those databases, but now we can Google.
Right.
And we can get access to so much information, particularly if you know how to search.
So do that. So don't be caught thinking in your own little mind, your own little circle. Do the right thing. Go on the internet and start looking at name possibilities
Research
out there,
thoroughly
or conflicts with the names that you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
And as Coach just said a minute ago, get your internet domain name now today. That wasn't, maybe you weren't worried about that 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know.
You didn't have
maybe
to.
You were, but
you didn't have to because today.
But if you aren't today, you need to be shot.
Absolutely. I mean, today everything is about the internet and the World Wide Web and mobile. I mean, it's just huge. It's huge today. It's a big part of your marketing plan to understand how am I going to market myself over the internet.
And you already said, the author says get a .com instead of .net.
If you can.
.net.
You don't want .us and you just don't want those things. They're a waste. You
want to have people, grab that. Well, and the .com is best of all, and the customers prefer that. Now, Coach, this is one of your favorite topics. Don't you get discouraged? You say, bingo, you on your internet search, somebody's got your name. You're dead. You're dead. No.
Not dead.
Not dead.
You're not dead.
Well,
I mean, if we were going to have Google, and Google was taken, and of course we can't use Google in anything,
Right.
I mean, it could be Google online. I have a client who has his name, basic letters of his name were taken, and so he's just his name online.com. You can do that too. Now, a lot of people are cyber sitting out there, meaning they are grabbing names and just sitting on them. They're not using them, and they are probably for sale. That's what they're doing. That's what cyber sitting is all about.
Yeah.
And some of them are ridiculously priced. So, unless you want to.
Or some man or woman, use that name, started a business, went out of business.
Yeah. I have the perfect
work.
example of a client who came to me and said, geez, I'd love to use this name. But not only is it taken, it's trademarked, and the online, the .com is taken. I said, well, you can't use it. He said, but they're not using it. They're not doing anything with it. Then give them a call, see if they'll sell it to you. They sold both to them for $100.
Yeah.
Because they had not planned on using it. He bought the name, and now he's a very successful small businessman.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't go crawl in a hole.
No.
And shovel the dirt over you.
Yep.
You're not dead.
Keep moving.
And where you're looking at, there are these great little facilities on the internet. GoDaddy is one.
Oh yeah, GoDaddy.
Network Solutions.
Yeah.
Also the so-called social media, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest.
Well, you need to put your business on Facebook, particularly in the business to consumer world. I mean, it's become very, very huge. Speaking of Facebook, it was originally called The Facebook. And they dropped the the. It's just Facebook. They simplified it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, internet domain, What about Coach? What was this idea? The author suggests on using a name with meaning.
Yeah.
Like I tell you, Coach, one of my almost most famous names is a sign driving down the street, and there's a sign hanging up there. It says "Eat."
Okay, I'll bet it's a restaurant.
Eat.
Yeah. There's a restaurant in Seekonk, Rhode
That
Island.
leaves
that's called,
no mystique.
That's right. There's a restaurant in Rhode Island called Eats. Actually, I think it's over the line in Seekonk, Mass. But it's called Eats. It's a great little diner. Guess what Eats does? It feeds you.
It feeds you.
Right.
You gotta love it. Mm-hmm. But name with a meaning, a meaningful, positive.
You got to spend some time doing it. You got to get your family and your friends together, and you got to start, brainstorming different names. A lot of times when somebody wants to start a company, I will say to them, okay, now go away and come back in 2 weeks, and I want, during those 2 weeks, you to develop 10 different names for the company, and then I want to share with family, friends, and lots of other people, and see who likes which name. Because you got to take the time picking a good name.
But I think that's a key to this episode. The advice that we're handing out here.
Yeah.
I think it could be that so many times, putting the name on is done like this. It's
done too quickly.
Quickly, it's not a big deal. Here, put a name. You want a name? Here's a name.
Right.
We're saying, whoa,
right.
Slow down, think, consider. Take advantage of research on the internet.
Spend some time.
Research among friends, colleagues, other people, and whatever.
Right.
Take time.
Yeah.
Have a name with meaning, if possible. There's a cost and a time of educating buyers, which the coach was talking about earlier. Names that we now think are immensely, gigantically popular, like Google, Amazon, Yahoo.
McDonald's. McDonald's is a farmer's name 100 years ago.
But people don't instantly appreciate and respond to that. You have to educate them. That's
right.
part of your branding process.
Right.
But could you shorten that up and shorten your investment by better consideration of your name that exports your meaning?
You mentioned Domino's Pizza. Well, I don't think 30 years ago it was a bad idea to call it Domino's Pizza, because that was their primary product, and it might have been in Chicago their only product at the time. But it certainly changed because they did at some point add sandwiches and all the other things they had. And so I think it was a great idea to drop the pizza, and it's called Domino's, because now Domino's is a brand in our mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but to start it off as Domino's Pizza, quite frankly, I don't think it's all that bad idea, because that was their primary thing. They delivered pizza when nobody else was doing it. That was their differentiator. But that's 30, 40 years ago. So now Domino's, when I say to you Domino's, you do think pizza, you do think sub shop, whatever you buy at Domino's Pizza, right?
Yeah.
Just like with Amazon. I'll ask my students today in class, Amazon, what is that? Oh, that's a place online you can buy stuff.
Yeah.
What else is it? What do you mean, what else? Did you know it's a river? A really big river in South America? No, is it? McDonald, did you know EIELO was McDonald's actually a farmer?
Name with meaning. Make it good for internet search these days.
Yep.
That people are looking up names on the internet, so make it easy and quick for internet search and so forth. Okay. So go and conduct a trademark search.
Yep. Go to the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, and see if it's trademarked. You know, I mean, the first thing you should do is if you're going to, of course, you're going to start a corporation, as the next thing says. You go to the Secretary of State in the state you live, and you see if they'll let you use that name in the state that you're in. So, and if they do, well, that's great. You're allowed to use it in the state of Massachusetts, and that's the name of your corporation. But that's not necessarily the brand name that you're going to be going to market with. That's just the name of the corporation too. And I think of Boston Beer Incorporated.
Yeah.
Well, who's Boston Beer?
Yeah.
Well, it happens to be the brand that they promote is called Sam Adams.
Yeah.
But that's not the name of the corporation. So, you know, you got those things going on too. But yeah, you need to do a trademark search. You need to conduct a search with the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State.
Yep.
Most of you understand. I mean, when you form a business, I mean, if you're a sole proprietor, just start operating out of the trunk of your car. But
well, that's great. But you still need to get a DBA certificate.
Yeah, it's DBA.
Because if you're a sole proprietor and you're operating out of Boston, you got to go to the city and get it would say William K.D. Fox doing business as DBA. Magic Consulting Company. Don't use that. It's really stupid. But I mean, and then you get DBA, and that's like $30 or $40 for 4 years, and that allows you to use a fictitious name. But pick a good fictitious name that's going to create a brand identity for you.
So the Secretary of State in the state that you operate.
Yep.
If you've never done it before, that's where you register and the name of your business.
Yep.
And but also your Secretary of State search on the online for names, and avoid particularly confusion with other companies, especially competitors or other local firms. People. Yep. If you're in Minnesota or California or Arizona, wherever you are, but I mean, look around you. I mean, put your periscope up and look around at businesses in that state where you're conducting business, or more in the city, town, locale where you are.
Yep.
And on the online with the Secretary of State. And what about Coach? Is your name catchy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you say catchy, of course you mean, is it memorable? Is it mean something specific? Google. I mean, Google's a good example. Yahoo, it's a great example. Those are catchy words, So you want to create a brand identity. Nike, the god of whatever, right?
Yeah.
But Nike, it's simple. Google, Yahoo, those things. GoDaddy. I mean, GoDaddy doesn't tell you it's a search engine, but they spent enough money so that now you can go to GoDaddy and you can look up, URLs.
Well, on my PowerPoint, I'm going back to a point that you made earlier. International business machines. Boring. Is that boring? International business machines.
Now we call it IBM and Federal Express. The market created FedEx. They shortened it, and guess what? They were smart enough to change the name. What's the name of the company? It's FedEx. It's a brand. It's still Federal Express Incorporated.
United Parcel Services.
UPS.
UPS.
Of course, let the market change it if you want.
But don't be boring.
No.
And also, an interesting point that the author brings up. You have a company, and you have investors, partners, if you have employees. What are they going to say to outsiders? When they say your name, do they giggle?
Like cadaver?
Or is your name so embarrassing when they say they're talking to a stranger and say, the name of my company is blah.
You go, what?
What? It ought to, your name should resonate, if it could resonate, with your audience.
It's got to be memorable. That's what branding is all about.
And you also mentioned this earlier. I mean, isn't this very simple? Is start out with your list of possibilities. Ask friends, colleagues, and ask if they're target audience.
That'd be ideal. Audience. What do you think of these three names? Which of these names do you like? I like that one. And a lot of people say that's easy, that's catchy, that's memorable, and I know what you do.
And avoid negative names that create negative connotations.
Yeah.
Okay. And the typical mistakes that business owners can make is typos. Again, misspelling, poor grammar, confusing graphics. Or or even names that make the reader think the business will be poorly organized. I mean, Confusion Inc.
Yeah. Messed Up Incorporated.
Yeah, Messed Up Incorporated. Stuff like that. So, and make sure it sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Does it look good on paper?
Yeah.
Or does it sound weird?
Well, cadaver.
Yeah, cadaver.
No, I
Inc.
said cadabra.
Oh, cadabra.
Oh, sorry.
And again, does the spelling confuse the audience, you know?
Don't get cutesy with spelling. You know, F-R-E-S-C-H. Really? F-R-E-S-H, fresh.
Yeah.
And for a second of all, there was frozen stuff, so I don't know how they got the word fresh.
And this is a toughie. This is one that I want you to attack, is that, you know, should you use your own name, which is so eminently popular, is Robbins Inc., you know, Cliff Robbins Inc., Cliff Robbins Plumbing, Cliff Robbins Mufflers, Cliff Robbins Hot Dogs. You know, is it necessary that the business carry your personal name?
Well, it's not necessary, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with. There are some great companies that were started with people's names, and to this day carry their own name. I think of McKinsey, which is one of the world's great consulting companies. Right. You know, and then there's one of their main top 4 competitors when it comes to good consultants helping you grow your business. Well, McKinsey is certainly up there, but so is BCG, the Boston Consulting Group. Now, what does the Boston Consulting Group do? Well, they're consultants. That's what they do, and they're very good at it. So, you know, every rule has a corollary to the rule, you know, so. Well,
I put on my slide, you know, I'm picking on these guys, Smuckers. Yeah. Well, of course, they even created an advertisement that's been around for decades.
It's brilliant.
If it's
with a name like
Smuckers, the product has to be good.
That's right. Brilliant.
They make fun of themselves.
And that's brilliant. But, and Smuckers is easy enough to say.
But this is a very sensitive topic. You start a business, you'd like to put your name on it.
Yeah.
But you want to stop in your tracks and say, is that necessary? Yeah. Is it good? Is it resonant? What about the meaning? And what about duplication? And all these other issues that we're bringing up.
You know, like Fox.
Okay, Fox.
If we call Fox company, well, whoa, you broadcaster?
And you've got other resources, you know, for names like Visual Thesaurus, Shopify business names.
Yes, where you can go and brainstorm names and.
Or just go on the internet and Google in. I want to create a business name. And, right. Whatever you want, but
everything's available. You can Google anything.
And in the end, are you happy with it?
Well, you're the one that's got to live with it, so you better be happy.
Take your time. Try to be objective. Obey the marketing concept and ask you if the name will resonate.
Right.
Okay, Coach. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys for being on board for this episode. And we upload all episodes to YouTube, so you can watch or select the topics that you want to watch at your convenience at your own time. And we will see you guys next time.